Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Impact Marketing Summit. I brought together some of the world's top marketing experts to share with you their new age marketing strategies and techniques that would literally change the way you perceive and implement marketing in your day to day business. My name is Vamsi Pannala, and right now I'm delighted to be speaking with Alan Dean. Alan Dean is an established author, speaker, trainer, coach, and mentor who has done more than 20 millions in sales. He got started with the digital marketing side of things and was introduced to ClickFunnels in April 2019. Since then, he has earned over $4,300 in affiliate commissions in his first 30 days before the One Funnel Away challenge was over. And after 10 months of using ClickFunnels and digital marketing, he has made nearly $60,000 in affiliate commissions alone, and it continues to grow daily. Put nearly 100 people through the One Funnel Away challenge by providing immense value in his Facebook group, which is now currently more than 2,000 members. Interviewed some of the best in the business like Blake Nobar, Marley Jacks, Bailey Richard, Spencer Meekum, Steve Larson, Dave Woodward, Julie Stoyan, Akbar Sheikh, and a few other bigger giants. He hosted his own mastermind in March 2020 with some of the biggest names around the country coming to speak at it. By the end of 2019, he has made enough in affiliate commissions alone to pay his ClickFunnels account for the next 7 years, fully funded his trip to FHL, purchased his dream car, and still have plenty of money left over to reinvest in his marketing efforts for 2020. Designed, created, and is the owner of Friend or Foe software, a unique software that helps you sort through all your Facebook friend requests, weeding out the spammers and the bots while also turning your Facebook requests into potential leads and sales. But here is the most amazing part of Alan's journey. He did all of this while working a 9 to 5 full-time job, married, 3 young kids, including a set of twins. If he can do it, so can you. Alan, welcome to the summit.
Thank you, Vamsi. Thank you for having me. And let's just dive right in this morning. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we will get started. All right. So again, my name is Alan Dean, and we're going to talk about how to provide massive value and an avalanche of sales through organic marketing this morning. That's what we're going to be talking about. So let's dig into this. But before we get started, I want to tell you a story of chance. And so a couple months ago, my wife calls me one day, and she is sitting at the Walmart. She had gone into Walmart and done some shopping or whatever. Obviously, this was before coronavirus. And, she came outside and she heard this meow coming from her car. And so she calls me up and I hear, I hear, baby. And I already know when she calls me and says that something big is going on, right? She goes, baby. And I'm like, yes, dear, what? And she says, we got a new cat. And I said, what do you mean we got a new cat? She said, well, I was at Walmart and I was shopping and I came out and I heard this little meow and it was up in like the wheel well of my car. And she's like, at first I called, like the fire department, animal control or whatever to come get this cat. Cause there's no houses anywhere like this. Walmart's just sort of all by itself. Right. And she says, at first I called them and then when they came, she said, but the cat was so small. It's like this teeny tiny little baby and I don't know where it came from. And I felt really bad. And so I just decided to bring it home. I was like, oh man, and this is my wife, by the way, guys. This is our third cat that she has just rescued, like literally, off the side of the road or something. This is what she does. And so anyways, long story short, she brought the cat home despite anything I had to say about it. And we wound up with a new cat. And so my children and my wife, they sat around that first evening and they debated on naming the cat. They wanted to give the cat a name, of course. And so after a bunch of conversation, they ultimately decided to name the cat Chance. And they named him that because they felt like he had been given a second chance at life, right? Like he was a kid and he probably should have died out there. And for whatever reason, he wound up in my wife's arms and I had a second chance at life. And so they decided to name him Chance. And so that is how Chance came into our lives. Now, let me tell you what happened next and how this is going to connect with what we're going to talk about today. So the next day, or maybe, day after, something like that, as fate would have it, my wife happens to get a little flyer in the mail from the local veterinarian that says, hey, we're offering a 40% off discount if you bring your animal for a checkup. And she's like, well, great, because we need to have this cat checked out. We don't know where it came from, whatever, right? So she takes the cat to the vet for this special discounted rate. And that's when it all begins, and everything starts at that moment. So she's sitting in there with the cat. Mind you, I'm not there, by the way, because things would have turned out differently if I was, but I was not there. She was just telling me later how the visit went. But she's there, and so the first thing the vet says is he starts with, well, do you mind if we clip his nails, the cat's nails, because they're kind of long, and it's only like $5, for us to clip the nails. And so my wife says, sure, yeah, go ahead, clip his nails. And so then, later on they come back and they say, well, we don't know where the cat came from. You found him in a parking lot. We really need to do some tests, for heartworms and this, that, and the other. Make sure that the cat's okay. Make sure he doesn't have any disease, whatever, right? And she's like, sure, yeah, go ahead. And then they come back, and then the cat needs some shots, and then the cat needs this, and then the cat needs that. And so what turned into a $60 office visit, was $800 by the time she was done. And so this is what happens to the stray cat that we find in the Walmart parking lot. My wife finds in the Walmart parking lot. And so because of a very carefully constructed value ladder, which is kind of a lot of what we're going to talk about today, my wife went in thinking she was going to spend $60, but she came out spending $800. And not only did she come out spending $800, she was happy about spending $800. That's the key in all of this, right? She was happy to spend it. She was ecstatic to call me and say, hey, guess what? I spent $800. And I'm like, I'm not happy about that like you are. But she was happy about it because of the way they presented value to her while she was there, the way that they told her and made her feel like they were taking care of her baby, right? Her cat, her new little fur baby. And so because of that, she was glad to spend money with them. Now, I'll add one other thing that tops the cake with all of this, which is this. After they told her that it was going to be $800, then they conveniently just happened to have a payment plan to make this easier for most people. And they say, but Ms. Dean, you don't have to pay us $800 right now. You can pay us $79 a month for the next year, and that will take care of it. And then you can also bring the cat in anytime that you want. If the cat's ever sick or doesn't feel good or whatever, you can bring it in. It's no additional charge, and you can come and see the veterinarian or whatever. So then she's even more happy about that because she's like, now I didn't have to pay $800 at once. I can pay it out over the next year. I can bring the cat anytime I want. Like, this is a really, really, really good deal. And that's the way my wife felt. And so this is how Chance came to be in our family. And this is how the veterinarian, took us for, about $1,000. And so what the veterinarian ultimately ended up with was what we call a continuity program, which is recurring revenue for them, right? This should be the ultimate goal for most any business model out there, is some sort of continuity program. That's what we want. We want monthly recurring revenue, passive income, whatever you want to call it. That should be the goal with most businesses. Almost every business model should fit into that somehow, because that's just money that comes every month automatically, right? And that's what we all want. We don't have to work for that money. We sell it once and it just sort of comes in. So memberships and stuff like that, just like what the vet did with my wife, is a great example of that. And that is something that we should all do. So let's talk about the value ladder. You've probably heard of value ladders before, maybe. If you haven't, that's okay. We'll go through a value ladder very briefly, but a value ladder sort of looks like this, and you can probably see my mouse here. On the left axis, I didn't mean to hit that button, but that's okay. On the left axis, we have value, and on the right axis, we have price. And so ideally, as the value goes up, the price goes up in whatever it is that you're offering. If it's a service, if it's a product, or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So as the value goes up, the price goes up. And I hit my little button a little too early, but this is my bait guy. He's got his hook in the water, and he's trying to get some bait. And that's what we usually start with on the value ladder, something small. Example from the story I just told you. What did I tell you? They started with my wife when it was a $5 nail clipping. It was something very small, something very cheap, but they start with that, and then they start moving on up the ladder. And the ultimate goal, obviously, is to get all the way to the top. And the top is our big money maker. It is the most expensive product or service that we have. And unfortunately, this is not Burger King, and we cannot have it our way. if it was, we would just take everybody straight to the top step, right? We would just sell everybody our most expensive item because that's what we want to sell them. But we can't do that because we have to establish trust and relationship with someone before they're just going to spend that money. Before, I can't take my wife into the vet. If she had walked into the vet and the vet just walked up to her and said, yeah, give me $800, I'll take care of your cat, she wouldn't have done it. She'd have left, right? But because they started with some bait, because they got the first sale from her, which we're going to talk about in just a second, and because they carefully constructed that value ladder and built their way up, and because they established trust in a relationship with her and made her feel like they were taking care of her, make her feel like they were taking care of her cat and her baby, then they were able to get her to the top step of this value ladder, which is also a continuity program. As I mentioned before, and a continuity program is your big money maker. That is what we should all be striving for, is to get on some sort of continuity program that just makes money every single month on autopilot for our business. Okay. Now, there are two things to remember concerning value or establishing a value ladder. The first thing to remember, when value is presented correctly, price becomes irrelevant. Okay, so that means that as long as the customer perceives the value that you're intending, and even more importantly, that if they perceive the value to be higher than whatever it is that you're selling, then the price becomes irrelevant. It's a blank check to the customer. As long as they feel like I've got to have that because you presented value in such a way that they have this insatiable desire that they must have your product, right? And if they get to that point, if your sales pitch and everything else that you're doing is on point, if they get to that point, price is irrelevant. They don't care. They will pay you whatever it is that you're asking to get your product or your service. And this is the ultimate goal, right? We want to get to that point where I can sell you anything I want and you're going to pay me whatever I want for it. That would be the ultimate thing that we want to get to. Yeah. But in order to get there, you must present value in the correct way. The second thing to remember is that the second yes is always easier than the first yes. So that means once we've got them on the hook, once we've got that bait, once we give them that $5 offer, as they did with my wife, the subsequent yeses after that become a lot easier for you to get out of your customer once they've already made a purchase with you. And so the idea here is to get that first yes and get that first sale out of the way. And then after that, you can continue to pitch your other services or products or whatever it is to your customer. And then, follow up with them later too. Follow up with them email. I'm sure that my wife will get emails from the veterinarian, some other specials they have going on somewhere down the road. And guess what? She's going to be, happier than a camel on hump day to go right back there and spend more money with them because they provided value and they've taken care of her. And because she's already spent money with them, she's already given them the first yes. And so, so they did everything correctly. And the second yes is always going to be easier than the first yes. So make sure you get the first one out of the way. Now, how are we going to tie this into organic marketing, and what is organic marketing? Well, there's really only one answer to that question. And the answer to that question is because it is free money. Organic means that I can go out and we'll use social media for an example here. We'll use Facebook, which is what I do personally. And organic means I'm getting leads and sales from Facebook that are free. I'm not paying money for like Facebook ads or YouTube ads or anything like that, right? I'm getting people to come to my Facebook page or my Facebook profile or whatever it may be and buy my stuff, and I'm not having to pay for it. That's what organic marketing is, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'll drop you just a little bit of free gold nuggets today since you're on the summit with us, and I'll tell you a little bit one of the main examples of exactly how I do it. I shared this within my Facebook group a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so, and I showed them real time. And what I did was I did a screen share like we're doing right now, and I showed them my personal timeline, and I showed them exactly, real time, like I said. And I went through like the last 3 posts that I had made on my personal timeline from that moment. And in the last 3 posts, I had gotten, I don't remember, like 250 or 300 shares on those posts alone, okay? And this is for my personal timeline, mind you. And so of those 3 posts that didn't cost me anything, it was just 3 posts that I made on Facebook, I got 300 shares, which means 300 more eyes were put onto my personal profile. Now, my personal profile, I have a little video on there. And so, if you're familiar with Facebook, then when when you're commenting and when you're looking through Facebook, everybody has a little circle next to their name, right? That's what you see when you're looking at Facebook. Everybody has a little circle. Well, in my circle, it's moving around because mine is a video. It's not a still picture like 99% of everybody else on Facebook. And so it's what we call a pattern interrupt. When they see that, they're like, hey, why is his picture moving around? So then they're going to click on my picture because they want to see what's up with that. And when they do that, they wind up on my personal timeline. Now, my personal timeline is very carefully constructed to be a big fat billboard for whatever it is that I'm selling. And so when they land there, I have really cool looking pictures. I have call to action buttons. And I have other things, strategically placed throughout my personal profile that is going to drive them to my offers. And so what ultimately ends up happening is I make posts. My posts get shared. People talk about it. People comment about it, whatever. And as my content gets put out there, ultimately people wind up back on my personal timeline because they see stuff of mine, and then that translates into sales for me, and I get sales every single day on autopilot that way, and also through my software that I own called Friend or Foe. And that's one of the main methods that I use to do organic marketing and get organic sales every single day. Now, I'll give you the last bit of the gold nugget to that story. My personal tactic, if you will, is the power of laughter, the power of smiles, the power of happiness, right? And so my personal belief is that everyone in this world needs laughter. They love to laugh. They love to smile more than any other emotion out there. And I capitalize on that. Okay. So if you go to my personal timeline, you will find that I post a lot of funny stuff. I post stuff that's funny, whether it's a meme or whether it's a post or whatever it may be. I post funny stuff because people enjoy that, especially in a time right now. At the time of this recording, we're in this pandemic. We got this coronavirus thing going on, and this whole world is acting all crazy. Nobody knows what to do, and everybody's sort of uptight and losing jobs and whatever else, right? Like it's a gloomy time in the world right now, and so we need to smile. We need that extra laughter. We need that extra funniness or whatever in our life. And so that's going to go a long way, especially right now. And so that is what I use in my organic marketing, is I use that, and people appreciate that. They enjoy that. And when they have funny stuff, it doesn't even have to be about like a product that I'm selling, right? Or even, or anything like that. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be just a completely funny joke about, a kid at school or whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It doesn't matter. The point is getting shared, which all I'm trying to do is get people back to my personal timeline. That's all I'm trying to do. Because when they land on my personal timeline, like I said earlier, I have billboards sitting there waiting to grab a hold of them and direct them to my offers. So that's my only goal. I don't have to post specific content to do that. I just have to post stuff that people are going to share. Yeah. And when they do that, that translates into sales for me, and I get sales every single day. So that is why organic marketing is great, and that is why it's the greatest tool on earth, in my opinion, because there's nothing better than free money. There's nothing better than that. That's the best thing you could possibly get is free money. So that is organic marketing at its finest right there. And that is one of the main ways that I personally do it myself. So now you have my personal blueprint for it. Now, let us finish up, and I want to go through value a little bit more in detail, because I think that it doesn't matter what product or service or whatever it is that you're offering, you must provide value, like we talked about earlier, right? If you don't present value in the right way and you don't have enough value in your offer, you're not going to get any sales. And so I'm sort of the value king. Kind of people know me as that because I just constantly provide value, for free to my Facebook group and to anyone that kind of knows me. And so I really want to spend just a little bit of time as we finish out this summit and dive into value. And so what I did was I put some letters together, and I tried to come up with some words that correlate to the letters of the word value. And don't make fun of me. These and some of those are kind of hard to come up with, but this is what I came up with. I want to go over those with you real quick. So we're going to go over what does value mean for you and what does value mean for your customer, because these are two very different things, right? So for you, the V means vision. It means you must have a vision for your business. Let's just simplify it. Whatever it is that you're setting out to do. If you have a software, so like right now I own software, I must have a vision for that software. What am I trying to do? What am I trying to accomplish? right now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I must have a vision in place. I can't wander aimlessly around, because if I don't have something in place, sort of corralling everything and keeping everything intact, then I'm just going to wind up all over the place, and who knows what's going to happen. And so it's very important when you initially set out. So, a lot of people map their ideas out on marker boards, or, they draw the stuff out or whatever. It's all the same thing. It's just called vision. It's because we're trying to define what it is that we want to do. We're trying to put it in a bubble, put it in a box, and say, okay, here's my starting point, here's my ending point, and this is what I want to accomplish. And that is establishing vision for our ideas. So make sure that you have proper vision in place. Like I said, don't just wander around aimlessly hoping you'll get sales, because it doesn't really work like that. V for your customer means velocity. So for velocity, we're going to talk about Amazon. I'm sure that every one of you watching has heard of Amazon, and you've heard of Amazon Prime. If you haven't, you probably live under a rock. I don't know what to tell you, but Amazon Prime is the biggest company pretty much in the world, and a quarter of every dollar spent online goes through Amazon. Okay, so a quarter of the money spent in the world on the internet goes through Amazon. That is domination, is what that is. That is complete and utter domination. And the reason that Amazon controls a quarter of all the money spent online, the reason that they make hundreds of billions of dollars, is because of Amazon Prime. And what do we know about Amazon Prime? The key feature in Amazon Prime is that you can buy a product and have it at your house like the next day for free. Like, it doesn't cost you extra. Once you're a Prime member, you join Prime membership, which is very, very cheap. Then that is one of the benefits of Amazon Prime, is that I can buy something, I can have it at my doorstep the very next day. And nobody else can do that. I mean, you're going to have to pay $50, $100, $200 to overnight something anywhere else to get that something to you that quickly, right? But not with Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, that's just a perk of being a Prime member, and that's what you get. It's part of their business model, and we won't go into the whole thing and how they accomplish that, but that is the main reason that Amazon does so well, is because they can offer that service that nobody else, for the most part, nobody else can offer. And so the velocity in which they deliver their product or their service. So that's the main thing here. How quickly can you deliver whatever it is that you've sold your customer, whatever it is you've promised them, how quickly can you deliver that to them? Velocity. The quicker you can do it, the better off you will be, and the further ahead of your competition you will be. Okay, so velocity is a big one. For you, approach simply means that different customers must be approached different ways. So you cannot have just one sales pitch in mind and say, this is how I'm going to approach everybody, because it doesn't work like that, right? Like, prime example, this is just sort of for fun, but when guys walk up to other guys, what do? We go up to there and we're like, so what do you do for a living? Because guys, we feed off of a sense of accomplishment. That's how guys are hardwired in our brains, right? Like, we want to know, what do you do? What have you accomplished? What are the best things you've ever done? What the biggest fish you ever caught? Like, that's the kind of stuff that guys want to know, right? Females, they don't care about that. They want to talk about your purse or your shoes or something else, right? And so guys and girls, totally different things. We got to approach guys and girls different things. We don't walk up to a girl for the first time and say, hey, what do you do for a living? How often do you do that? Never, right? And so we approach men and women differently. And this is just a simple example, but in your customers as a whole, you're going to approach them different ways, and you need to just always be versatile and always recognize that some people need to be approached different ways. And as long as you can recognize that, that will translate into more sales for you. Okay. For your customer, attractive simply just means, as we say in the online world, sexy. Make sure that your offer is sexy. Make sure that it is attractive, not just to you, but is attractive to your customer. Whatever it is that they are seeking, make sure that it's presented in a way that is attractive and sexy to them, so that they will want it. When they see it, they're like, oh man, I gotta have that. That looks really cool. And so if you ever experienced that when you were surfing the internet or looking online or watching TV, and you saw something come up and you're like, holy cow, that was awesome. Exactly what you need to do with your offer. That's the way you want to feel, and that's the way your customers want to feel. The L in value for you just means learning. Guys, times change every single day, right? Everything is changing. Technology is changing every single day. Information changes every single day. And so some of the most successful people in the world read books every day. And maybe you're not a book reader, maybe you are. But the point is that they're always trying to keep up with what's going on. They're always trying to learn and adapt to new things. We can't just get stuck in our old ways and not catch up with the times, right? Because if we do, we're just going to get left behind. And so none of us knows everything. None of us knows it all. Even in our one specific niche, nobody knows it all. And the day that you know everything, you're in big trouble. So until you get to that point, which is never, then you should always be striving to continue to learn, to continue to find new ways of doing business and presenting to your customers, and new ways of creating new offers and making your offers better and all that kind of stuff. And so just always be learning and adapting. For your customer, listen. In sales 101 is where we're told to listen more, talk less, right? We don't talk, we listen. We maybe ask a couple questions, and then we want to listen to the customer, because the customer will tell you everything that you need to hear, right? They'll tell you exactly what their problems is and everything if you just shut your mouth. The problem is 98% of people talk their way right out of a sale because they just can't stop, flapping their gums all the time, and they're like, and they just want to talk. So sales 101 is listen, don't talk. You can ask a couple of leading questions and some things that you need to do to sort of steer your customer in the right direction. But after that, just listen to them, let them tell you what they need, and then you just simply provide a solution for them. You means unique. So obviously we need to make sure that our offer is unique and we're not copying anybody else's offer or doing the exact same thing anybody else is doing. We always want to be unique in everything that we do. Make sure that our stuff is unique, I guess. Simple as that. We don't want to. In the funnel world, we're taught to model, not copy. So it's okay to look at other people for ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you see something that you like, always craft it in such a way that you've taken their idea and you've made it unique to your own. You've added something to it. There's no limit to the amount of value that you can provide, right? The only limit to the amount of value that you can provide is your imagination. And so you can always take something that someone else is doing and just add more value to it, reconstruct it in a different way to where your value ladder looks a little bit differently, and then add some different value to it. And then you've got your own unique, version of whatever it is that you're offering. But just make sure it's unique. And then we'll touch on the other half of unique here in just a second. For your customer, user friendly. So for example, my software that I made, I literally sat down with my developer team and I said, I want to make this kindergarten friendly. Like, I want to make this so easy to use that nobody can ever even have to ask me a question on how to use it, right? Like, literally, you type a message in and you turn it on, and that's it. And my software just runs and it does its thing on its own on autopilot for you. You don't have to do anything else, right? Think kindergarten friendly with whatever you're doing. Nobody wants to have to sit there and contact support and say, how do I do this? How do I do it? How do I make this work or whatever, right? Nobody wants to do that. Remember that most people are not techie people. Most of them are not even really computer savvy for the most part. They're just sitting there surfing around on the internet, because they know how to do that. Or nowadays it's mostly on your phone, not even on the computer. Yeah. And so just remember that people are not tech savvy. They don't want to take the time to figure anything out. So whatever it is that you're offering them, make sure it's incredibly user friendly, that it's spelled out very, very, very well. You have great instructions if you need instructions to teach them how to use it, and that there's just no confusion, and so that they can just go and use it, very quickly, simply, and then move on. If they struggle to figure out how to use it, you can forget it. They're just going to not use it at all. Whatever it is that you're offering them, they're just going to quit and move on to the next thing. So make sure it's very user friendly. Now, the flip side to unique was ethical. This is the last part of value for you. And ethical just means, like I said, I'm going to piggyback off unique. We need to be unique, but then we also need to be ethical in that we're not stealing from other people. We need to, let's just put it this way, guys. You only get one shot in life, to make a great opportunity for yourself. You only have one name for yourself, and especially in the internet world, when that name is tarnished and when you've ruined your reputation and when people think of you as a cheat and a liar and a thief and all that kind of stuff, you just don't get that reputation back. It's done. It's over with. And there's no sale that's worth risking that reputation. There's no sale that's worth being unethical. In the moment, you might be like, oh man, my water's fixing to get shut off and I need $200, you know, or my water's gonna get shut off, my power's getting shut off. And in that moment, you might go and do something really unethical to get that $200. And so in the moment, maybe you felt really good and you got your $200 and you got your water bill paid, but guess what? Now you're not gonna get any more money from anybody because you've been labeled as whatever it was that you did to get that $200, and you've ruined any opportunity to continue to grow online. And so I just want you to think very carefully when you're, you know, if you don't have a mansion and Lamborghinis, don't tell people you have a mansion and Lamborghinis. Like, don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't pretend to be someone that you're not. You just don't have to do that. People appreciate raw. They appreciate honesty. They appreciate being real, and they appreciate that much more than, you know, like the guy with the mansion and the Lamborghinis, right? They appreciate you going live all the time, because when you're live, guess what? It's not, you know, it's not edited. It's real. It's raw. You mess up. You forget your words. You know, you stumble around or whatever. You know, the cat comes in and jumps up and knocks your camera over or whatever. Like, people appreciate that because that's real to them, and they appreciate real. They don't want fakes. And nowadays, you know, so many people that are selling stuff on the internet, it's just a stereotype. They automatically just sort of think that they're fake, you know, that they're not being truthful, that they're just another slimy, sleazy salesman online or whatever, right? And so just go out of your way, literally go out of your way to make sure that you are ethical in everything that you do. So this is a big one for me. I spend a lot of time on that, and I take that very, very seriously. And lastly, for your customer, E is experience. We want to make sure that our customer has a great experience, whatever it is that they're doing, just like you guys that are watching the summit. Hopefully by the end of the summit, with all the speakers and everything that you are getting to you know, witness and swallow from all these people, hopefully you will have been, you know, had a great experience with this. You will have learned a lot, not just from me, but from everybody that you're going to listen to. And you will go and you'll tell your friends about it, and you'll say, hey man, Vanjie's, you know, summit was awesome. You should have heard all these people that we got to listen to and all this free information that, you know, we learned and you know, all this stuff, right? And so that is what we want. We want to provide a great experience for our customer. We want them to have a great time, and we want them to want to come back, right? And so just make sure that you're thinking of the overall experience when you're crafting your offers, you know, or your value ladders or whatever it is for your customer. And just think of the entire experience and make sure that it is something that they're going to enjoy. Lastly, the definition of value is the worth or usefulness of something. That's the definition of value. And of those two things, I want you to really, really, really focus on the usefulness of something. When you're crafting your offers, when you're putting your funnels together, whatever it is that you're doing, think of the usefulness of whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and just go over and above on how useful that is for that customer. If they do not find it useful, they're not going to buy it. My software, for example, incredibly useful, and the ROI, you know, should be 10x what I'm charging for it, right? That's perceived value. They should, when they see my software and they use my software the first time, they're like, holy cow, I cannot believe I'm only paying $17 for this. Like, I should be paying $100 for this. I should be paying $200 for this, right? Because they feel like it is worth so much more than what they are paying. And that is the way your customers should always feel about your product. And make sure that when you're preparing your sales pitch, you're preparing your value, that is what you're honing in on, is how useful this is going to be for my customer. They need to see the usefulness, see the worth of it, and make it feel like it is something that I just have to have, right? And so that is what you should do when you're putting together your offers. So that is it, guys. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with you guys. Easiest way to connect with me, there's a URL right there, join DA group, join the group, and DA stands for Digital Agency, which is the name of my group, but it also is join the group. And you can connect with me there. My Facebook group is always free. You don't have to pay to be in my Facebook group. As Vanzie mentioned earlier, I interview lots of A-list entrepreneurs and stuff like that. I'm always giving away stuff for free and just always trying to provide value in my group. And my sole mission there in the group is just to provide tools and tips for people so that they can be successful entrepreneurs. And that's my only goal with the Facebook group. And so that is the best way to connect with me, is right there through the Facebook group, which is, as I mentioned, free. So thank you very much for your time. And Vanzie, thank you for this opportunity to present this, you know, to the people on your summit. And that's all I got for you.
Pleasure is all ours, I would say, not just mine, because I've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs in the last few months who are absolutely happy to sell that one particular product that they have designed, procured for somewhere, and sell 100,000 units of it, but are not really willing to come up with their value ladder, right? So, or some of them may not even know that there is a concept like that, or some of them are not really comfortable, or some of them don't know a blueprint to how they can come up with their value ladder. So for people who want to ascend their existing customers on value ladder, with your experience of building a lot of funnels for your own company, for a lot of your customers, and helping a lot of other people inside the group, is there a blueprint or a strategy or a simple technique where you can help people to design how their value ladder should look like?
Just like what kind of I showed you in the slide earlier, you always want to start with something smaller. Like we talked about the bait, right? So in my example that I gave you guys was, $5 nail clipping for the veterinarian, and then we moved up the ladder. So just remember that it's always going to be ascending in price and value. Start with something small. Even better if you can start with something free. If you have something free that you can offer them, so it's a lead magnet, what we call it. So you can give like a free PDF or whatever it is, free ebook. If you have something you can provide for free, it's even better because everybody loves free, and that gets them in the door. Remember what we said: the second yes is always easier. Even if the first yes was free, it's still a yes. We've still acquired them as a customer. We've gotten them into our funnel. We've gotten them onto our email list or whatever it may be, and so that is the goal there. Now, that being said, your value ladder can be too long. We don't want 100 steps in our value ladder, right? Like we don't want to climb to the top of Mount Everest with our value ladder. The more that you put between yourself and your customer, the more you separate yourself and the more you push them away from being a customer and push them away from sales. So we need to be very strategic about what we put between me and the customer.
Yeah.
And that's our value ladder. We put certain things there that is going to keep them moving forward and keep them climbing up that ladder. But at the moment we try to put too much there, they just quit climbing. They're like, oh, I'm too tired. I'm not going to climb these steps anymore. I'm done. I'm going back. And so yeah, that'd be my suggestion for the value ladders.
Absolutely. So I think that's something that a lot of people want to implement in their existing business right now, whoever is watching this as of now. So thank you so much for your time once again. It's a pleasure to have you on my summit. One of the topics that I'm sure a lot of people will have a lot of key takeaways and want to implement this as a part of their business. So really a pleasure having you on this summit, and look forward to many more sessions like this where you can share your knowledge like you have always been doing. You're one of those people that I started following in April 2019. I think that is when you actually started inside ClickFunnels as well. So you have been a great person, someone who has been very helpful from day one. So look forward to many more sessions like this, Alan.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you again for the opportunity to be a part of this summit and to present for your audience. And hopefully that I was able to teach them something of value today. So
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, Alan.
all right, take care.